Now on ABC 6 News at 6, attorneys appeal. A man accused of stabbing a former RCTC student to death appears in court. Why his lawyer says the case needs to be dismissed. Plus, criminal concerns. Some say the system of detaining offenders who are mentally ill isn't working in Minnesota. What they believe the problem really is. And around the world journey. Find out why some of the top chefs from Japan are spending time in a tiny town in our area.
Your local news and weather source, ABC 6 News at 6, starts now.
There's a growing problem in Minnesota regarding what to do with criminals who also have a mental illness. Good evening and thank you for choosing ABC 6 News. I'm James Wilcox.
And I'm Betsy Singer. Officials say there's a lack of places to put criminals with mental health issues. And in cities larger than Rochester, there's a growing need for more space.
ABC 6 News reporter Carson Forsman talked with Olmsted County law enforcement, and they agree it's a concern right here at home.
It's been a concern for many years. Criminals who have a mental illness are in need of proper treatment. Now larger cities face a problem, not having enough places for these people to be treated.
It is something that's definitely on our radar and we're very concerned about.
Olmsted County Sheriff Kevin Torgerson says he sees a great number of criminals who need this type of treatment.
One of the things that we've seen for a long time, and I think the figures are in the 75 to 80% area of individuals that we see that come through our detention center have some level of mental illness.
And to help with the large amount of mentally ill criminals, Olmsted County has a behavioral health specialist who works to get them the proper treatment.
If we can get them stabilized so that they're more manageable when they're in the detention center, they can come back and then we do what we can here with our medical staff and behavioral health specialists.
But this is not the case for other counties in Minnesota. If their facilities are full, they lean on other counties to pick up the slack.
One of the issues when we have had challenges where our community behavioral health hospital is full, we have to take them to, say, Annandale or another facility somewhere else, and we transport them there. But the reason they're full here is because they've accepted someone from either out of the metro or somewhere else in the state.
And the state is constantly looking to find places for people to be treated. Here in Olmsted County, they haven't had an issue yet. But if larger cities need to transport mentally ill criminals, Torgerson says the buildup will cause an issue.
It's just all about space.
In Rochester, Carson Forsman, ABC 6 News.
Sheriff Torgerson says it's now a matter of legislation approving money so they can build more facilities across Minnesota.
Earlier today, a Rochester grocery store was shut down after 2 federal agencies conducted a search. This is what it looked like earlier at Tofik Grocery Store on the corner of 12th Avenue and 6th Avenue Southeast in Rochester. Police confirmed that they assisted with a federal warrant being issued, and the U.S. District Attorney's Office told us today the 2 agencies were the FBI and the U.S. Department of Agriculture. We still don't have a whole lot of answers as to exactly why that warrant was served. We'll, of course, continue to follow the story.
New surveillance video has been released following a Rochester bank robbery. Take a look. This was taken back in June inside the Affinity Plus Federal Credit Union. You can see the suspect enter, then quickly leave with a white bag. The man was wearing a mustache, which authorities believe could be fake. You're asked to call Rochester Police with any information.
The man accused of killing a former RCTC student in April is going to be standing trial in December, but jurors may have to drive a long way in order to hear this case. The judge ruled today the trial for Levi Aker Kendall will be in Polk County, but the jury will be made up of people outside of the Twin Cities media market. In other words, they haven't seen the case unfold on television. Kendall's charged with killing 34-year-old Peter Kelly in April. His attorneys plan on using the Castle Doctrine, claiming self-defense, but it's unclear if the judge is going to allow it.
My position is that this instruction can't take place until we hear from the defendant, till we hear from him that he intentionally did this, and if we hear from him what he was thinking at the time that he did this.
Next hearing isn't until November 9th, then jury selection will begin on December 3rd.
We're at the Dodge County Fair in Casson today. Night number 1 on the grandstand. We have a rodeo, some bull riding going on, and And behind me, we have the carousel and the rest of the Midway too. Plenty to do out here at the Dodge County Fair. You know, not too bad when it comes to the weather either. Let's talk a little bit about it. The temperatures have slacked a little bit since clouds have begun to roll in here this afternoon. We're back into the middle to upper 70s for those current readings right now, but still where I'm at least some filtered sunshine still trying to peek through. All quiet when it comes to the radar picture, but it's not by much. We do have a couple of thunderstorms and mainly showery activity passing by to our south. We'll start to get a little bit more activity to build in overnight, and that's when we're waiting on the bulk of things. So come on out to the fair tonight. We'll be seeing that temperature dip through the 70s. Eventually we're sending things back into the 60s by daybreak tomorrow. But rain is on the minds. I'll let you know who sees the bulk of it coming up in your forecast, and we're also talking those warm and muggy conditions coming back too. I'll show you when in a few minutes.
All right, thanks, Chris. You know, it has already been 14 years since the September 11th terror attacks in New York. Now there's a piece of history that's coming to this area.
ABC 6 News reporter John Detcott is live in Waseca tonight, where workers are setting up a traveling exhibit dedicated to keeping the memory of that day alive. John?
Yeah, right behind me, volunteers are setting up the 9/11 Never Forget mobile exhibit. Now, it's been traveling all across country and came through town just a little bit ago. It's now here on the Waseca County Fairgrounds, and it features a number of things, including pieces of steel beams from the World Trade Center, documentaries, and recordings from first responders. 2 New York firefighters are here on hand this weekend to give tours and answer questions. I spoke to them just a little bit ago, and they said this is really dedicated to those young people who are either too young or weren't alive in these last 14 years to remember September 11th and to really keep the memory of what happened that day alive. The exhibit is being set up here on the Waseca County Fairgrounds as part of the County Free Fair going on this weekend. But on its way in, people, like I said, were lining the streets of downtown, waving flags, cheering as it rolled in with a big escort from first responders from all over the area. There were flags, and people were clearly excited about this exhibit coming to town. So just based on that response, they expect to have a good turnout here this weekend. Reporting live in Waseca, John Detcott, ABC 6 News.
The Rochester Public School Board is revealing just how much money they're going to be asking for from voters in a November referendum. The set number is just more than $9.5 million. Right now, the current amount per pupil is $578. Now, if this referendum passes, that amount would go to $836 per student, which the board says puts RPS closer to the state average. As kids head back to school, we want to make sure that they have everything they need, and we'd love for you to help us stuff the bus. Along with United Way of Olmsted County, the Austin Salvation Army, and Walmart, we are collecting school supplies. You can look for the buses this weekend in the Austin and Rochester Walmart parking lots. That is this Friday and Saturday.
According to Rochester Area Economic Development Incorporated, 40% of our region's jobs are dependent on health care, and a group in our area is working to diversify the economy. Journey to Growth works with 8 counties, Olmsted and 7 others surrounding, to boost industries other than healthcare. During this morning's meeting, they introduced a new website, investors in the project, and project updates. Journey to Growth is a 5-year plan with an estimated budget of around $2 million. The next meeting is set for October.
It is proof that you can change the world one weed at a time. As a group of a dozen students and classmates from Austin High School spending the day sprucing up a yard at a home in Austin. It's a project spearheaded by Vision 2020. He was working with Habitat for Humanity and recruited his friends to help pull weeds and plant some shrubs.
The point of this day is just to have someone be able to experience volunteering for one day. So I told them that if they want to do more volunteering, they can call Habitat for Humanity, but today is just for them to be able to know what it feels like to volunteer.
Yeah, Alec really headed that up. Now, some of the teenagers who took part in the project said that they have never volunteered before. The good news is that they say they liked it so much, they're going to do it again.
What a neat event right there.
I know, and for him to take it upon himself to really get them together and do that, you can do that at my house anytime.
Yeah, come on over.
I got plenty of work for you to volunteer for. Stay with us. Top chefs from the Far East are looking for a prize right here in southeastern Minnesota.
And coming up, why they chose a small town in southeast Minnesota to learn all about American cuisine. And as we go to break, look at what's coming up tonight on ABC in prime time. It's a big night, the ESPYs at 7 o'clock. We hope you'll join us. We'll be back.